Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're taking excerpts you sent in from Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth, chapters 9 and 10 specifically. And we'll explore his ideas on inner purpose and a new earth. What do you think? What possibilities come up when we look into consciousness evolution and the role of the ego and this whole potential for awakening?
Yeah, Tolle, he starts off with this observation about flowers, something we might just, walk right by. But he sees it as pretty important, actually.
Oh, that's interesting. What's so, I don't know, profound about flower?
Well, think about it. Flowers are one of the first things humans value just for being. No practical use at all. And he sees this as like an early indicator of our consciousness evolving. We're shifting, right?
Right.
From just pure survival to actually appreciating something just for its beauty.
Oh, I see. So like by appreciating a flower, we're kind of connecting to something bigger.
Exactly. It makes me think of Buddha, when he held up a flower during a sermon, silently. That's supposed to be how Zen Buddhism started. And only one disciple, Mahakasyapa, really got it. It's like this amazing link between appreciating simple beauty and, well, a deeper awareness.
That's pretty cool. I guess it does put a new spin on stop and smell the roses. So is Tolle saying flowers are like enlightened or something?
He actually uses that term.
Yeah.
For flowers, crystals, birds, they all offer a glimpse into this like formless realm, he says. It's a pretty bold statement. It asks us to see the world in a new way.
So even in nature, we can find examples of existing beyond ego.
Exactly. These enlightened forms, they just are. They radiate beauty and aliveness without, needing anything back, which is a big contrast to how Tolle views human history. He calls it a history of madness, actually, driven by the ego.
Wow, that's a pretty bleak way to see it. Does he give us any hope? For humanity, I mean.
Oh, there's hope. But it depends on this awakening. Tolle believes that our fear and greed and the desire for power, those are the things that drive conflict, personally and globally, We need to move beyond the ego if we want to survive, tap into a deeper consciousness.
Okay, I get the problem, but how do we actually do that? It all seems kind of abstract.
Tolle uses a story to illustrate it. It's about this elderly woman who loses her diamond ring.
Ooh, a story. Always good. What happens?
Well, at first, she's just devastated.
Right.
Her sense of self is completely wrapped up in this material possession. But then, she starts looking inward, and she realizes that her true self, her I amness, it's still there, untouched by the loss.
So even though she feels lost, there's a part of her that's still whole.
Yeah, exactly. And that's Tolle's big message. Our true identity isn't tied to anything external. Possessions, roles we play, even our thoughts and emotions.
That's a powerful idea. But it's easier said than done, right? I mean, we all get caught up in playing roles sometimes.
Totally. So he calls it role-playing, where we identify so strongly with these archetypes that our interactions become, well, inauthentic.
Yeah.
Like the macho male, the perfect housewife, the cultured intellectual. They're all just playing parts.
I actually laughed out loud when he talked about the universal role of, like, being an adult. We take ourselves way too seriously sometimes. Life, too.
Yeah, right. It's a good reminder to lighten up a bit. He asks this question, do you want peace or drama? Because the ego, it thrives on drama. It reinforces its sense of self.
Yeah.
But true peace, he says, it comes from choosing peace, even when we're provoked.
I can see that playing out in my own life. When I just react automatically, get swept up in the emotion, I usually regret it later.
That takes us to the pain body, and one of Tolle's most memorable analogies, the duck analogy.
Oh, yeah, the ducks. I loved that. It's such a great way to explain a complex idea.
Right. So ducks, they have a fight, and then they flap their wings like crazy, just releasing all that energy.
Yeah.
And then like that game, they calmly float on like nothing happened. But humans, we tend to hold on to the negative stuff. And it builds up this pain body.
He even tells that story about the guy in the wheelchair at the restaurant. He just like explodes in anger out of nowhere, seemingly. It's a powerful image. Like that past pain can resurface anytime. So how do we deal with this pain body?
Awareness is key. When the pain body comes up, observe it. Don't judge it. Don't identify with it. Just witness it. And by doing that, some of that negative energy, you can actually transform into presence. It's like, shining a light on the darkness and watching it disappear.
It makes me wonder if Tolle's own presence had that effect on people,
Well, he shares a story about meeting Stephen Hawking at Cambridge, a man facing, incredible physical challenges, and yet he just radiated peace. Tolle quotes him saying, "Who could have wished for more?" It's a powerful testament to the human spirit, finding fulfillment beyond limitations.
Wow, it really makes you think about what's truly important, doesn't it? It's not about what we have or what we can do, but about our state of being, which kind of leads us to Tolle's ideas of object consciousness and space consciousness.
Yeah, he says most people live in a state of object consciousness. They're fixated on things, thoughts, external events. Lives are cluttered, minds are racing, always seeking fulfillment outside themselves. But space consciousness, that represents freedom from all that.
I feel like this too shall pass would be a good mantra for shifting into that space consciousness.
Oh, absolutely. It reminds us that everything is impermanent, right?
Yeah.
So by recognizing that, we can detach from the drama of life and tap into that stillness within.
So how do we actually cultivate that space consciousness? It still feels a bit, I don't know, elusive.
Tolle asks this really simple but profound question. Who is the experiencer? Strip away all those labels and identities we collect. Who are we beyond our thoughts, emotions, roles, possessions?
It sounds like a deep dive into self-discovery, peeling back the layers to find our true essence.
And that essence is pure awareness. It's the source of all experience. And from there, we can explore how that awareness shows up in our actions in the world.
I'm really curious about that. What does Tolle say about putting all this into practice?
He distinguishes between inner purpose, which is about awakening to who we really are, and outer purpose, which is about what we do in the world.
So it's not about like renouncing the world,
Yeah.
becoming inactive. Do we all have to go live in caves and meditate?
Not at all. He talks about awakened doing, aligning our actions with this creative power that's, well, greater than ourselves. It's about bringing consciousness to everything we do, instead of just mindlessly following ego-driven patterns.
Right, he gives us a framework for that, doesn't he? Something about 3 modalities of awakened doing.
You got it. He calls them acceptance, enjoyment, and enthusiasm. And maybe we can explore those further in part 2. So we left off talking about those 3 modalities of awakened doing: acceptance, enjoyment, and enthusiasm. They sound, well, simple enough, but what do they actually look like, in real life?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's easy to say accept things as they are, but how do you actually do that when things are tough?
Well, acceptance, the way Tolle describes it, it isn't about giving up or being passive. It's more about this deep allowing of what is,
Yeah.
facing reality without, like, resisting it or judging it.
That's pretty tough, I think. I mean, most of us are kind of wired to resist things we don't like.
Oh, for sure. It definitely challenges those habits we all have. But when we let go of that need to control everything, to force things to be different, that's when we can open ourselves up to, well, a deeper peace.
Makes sense. And what about enjoyment? That one seems a little more, I don't know, fun.
Right. It is. And it comes naturally when we're truly present, not lost in our thoughts or caught up in all the drama. It's about savoring the simple things, appreciating the beauty around us, finding joy in everyday stuff.
So it's not about chasing big, flashy pleasures, but just being content in the moment.
You got it. Recognizing the abundance that's already there, instead of always wanting more.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, and what about enthusiasm? How does that fit into this whole awakened doing thing?
Enthusiasm. It's that energy of, like, aliveness, the passion that flows when we're aligned with our purpose, our true purpose, I mean. It's not about forcing ourselves to be excited about things we don't care about. It's about tapping into that natural energy, the energy that comes when we're doing what we love.
So finding the things that light us up from the inside out.
Exactly. When we're enthusiastic, we're not wasting our energy on resistance. We're plugging into something, well, a source of power that's bigger than us.
I see how these 3 modalities all work together now. It's like a dance between accepting what is, finding joy in the simple stuff, and going after what we're passionate about.
That's a great way to put it. It's not about mastering one over the others, right? It's about being aware of how we approach each moment. Sometimes, yeah, we need acceptance. Sometimes it's about finding the enjoyment. And sometimes we got to tap into that enthusiasm, get that energy to move forward.
It's so interesting how these ideas connect to Tolle's vision of a new Earth. It seems like he believes a more conscious world is possible. But it starts with, us changing individually.
Oh, he definitely believes that a new Earth isn't some far off, perfect place. It's something that can, well, happen within each of us right now. He connects it to that biblical quote, "Heaven is right here in the midst of you."
Oh, yeah, I love that. It's like a reminder. Awakened consciousness isn't some, I don't know, distant realm. It's something we can access right here, right now. But how does that fit with, his criticisms of humanity's madness?
He's not saying we should ignore all the problems in the world or anything. He's just pointing out that clinging to those utopian visions of the future, it can actually be, Well, another ego trap. Real transformation, he says, happens now, not by, projecting all our hopes onto some imaginary future.
So it's not about waiting for the world to change, but changing ourselves first. But wouldn't that take forever? What about all the big problems, the systemic issues that are feeding this whole madness thing?
And that's where the idea of awakened doing comes in. By being present and aligning our actions with a creative power that's bigger than us, we contribute to a shift. In the collective consciousness, Tolle believes that even small acts of awareness can have a ripple effect.
I'm thinking about Ethel again, that woman who was just consumed by anger over that legal battle. Just by sitting with her, being present with her, totally helped her to, completely shift her energy.
Yeah, it's a great example. One person embodying awareness can change the energy field. We don't have to be like spiritual masters or anything to make a difference.
So it's about being conscious in everything we do, big or small.
Exactly. We become conscious creators of our reality. Instead of, unconscious reactors, we reclaim our power, our agency. We realize we're not just passengers in life. We have a say in how this whole journey unfolds.
Wow, there is a lot to think about here. My brain needs a minute to process all this.
That's a great place to pause then. We'll wrap up our deep dive into Tolle in part 3.
All right, I think I'm ready for more. We covered so much, flowers, ducks, Stephen Hawking, a new Earth. What really stuck with you? What was the most impactful idea?
I think, for me, it's Tolle's, just his unwavering belief in transformation. For individuals and, well, for everyone. He's not just, pointing fingers at the problems. He gives us a path,
Mm-hmm.
a way to create something, well, more conscious and fulfilling.
Yeah. You know what really resonated with me? That idea of being frequency holders, radiating that awakened consciousness out into the world. But honestly, it's still kind of fuzzy for me. What does that even look like? Day to day? Do we have to meditate for hours, become like enlightened gurus or something?
No, not really. Remember what Tolle says about awakened doing? It doesn't have to be this like grand heroic thing. It's about bringing consciousness to everything, even the small stuff. How we do the dishes, talk to our coworkers, listen to a friend who's having a hard time, just infusing every moment with awareness.
Okay, yeah, that makes it seem a little less daunting. It's not about reaching some perfect state of enlightenment, but just making conscious choices all day long.
Exactly. Tolle isn't telling us to search for some far-off utopia. He's saying, wake up. We're already creating our own experience. Every thought, every action, every choice we make, it all adds to the energy field around us.
It's almost like we're all connected then. And what we do individually, it affects everyone else. It's a lot of responsibility.
It is. But it's also empowering when you say we're not just helpless, at the mercy of whatever happens. We have choices. We can choose peace over drama, presence over ego.
It makes me think about Ethel again. That woman who was so angry about that legal battle, it seemed like she transformed in an instant. Do you think everyone can change that quickly, or are some people just wired differently?
Tolle seems to believe that we all have that potential for awakening. It's not about being a certain kind of person or having the right beliefs or anything. It's about tapping into that space inside us, that space that's already whole, already complete. He uses this metaphor of a seed. Every seed has the potential to be this amazing tree, but it needs the right conditions to grow.
So maybe those moments of sudden awakening, it's like the seed finally breaking through. But we can't force it, we just create the conditions.
I like that. That's a really good way to put it. And that's where the practices Tolle talks about come in. Cultivating presence, accepting things, choosing peace. They're not just ideas, they're tools. Tools we can use to create those conditions, those inner conditions for awakening.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I have a question for you. Imagine you could inscribe a reminder on a ring, something to help you stay connected to your inner purpose and that awareness of the present moment. What would it say?
Oh, that's a great question. I think mine would just say, be here now. Simple, but it would remind me to drop all those thoughts, all that mental noise, and just be present in this moment, just as it is.
I love that. So simple, but so powerful. It reminds us that the power to create a new earth for ourselves and for the world, it's right here, right now.
Well said. And thanks for joining me on this deep dive into Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. It's been a great conversation.
And to you listening, thanks for sharing these excerpts with us. We hope this deep dive gave you some new insights, maybe even a few aha moments. Keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep awakening. We'll see you next time.